Today we want to talk about inspired action. You may have heard that when we talked about manifesting, about taking inspired action, and yeah, today I'm going to help you understand what it is. Inspired action is something when you're manifesting and you learned you're supposed to get into the receiving mode. Okay, it will come to you. However, sometimes you may feel like this inner urge to do something, it's like you're manifesting your dream job, and all of a sudden you feel like, oh, I need to go online right now and Google it. Maybe I find the perfect how do you call it? It's not an ad, but opening online, and that inner impulse, like right now, go right now. That's the inspired action, and that is something that will lead you to that job. I have one. I just was recording another video, so I still have this paper right here, and it was about me wanting to meet my specific person, and I asked Spirit, should I go to that town, to Berlin, basically, should I go to Berlin? And I asked Spirit for a sign, like, should I take that action or not? And Spirit basically like showed me like this car, it says Berlin go, like go to Berlin, and the bear, that's the symbol of Berlin. And then I saw the twin go that day, so like go to your twin flame. So it is something that is, you could say, divinely guided. It's coming from your higher self, Spirit, however you want to call it, telling you it is time now to do something in order to get you there. But I want to talk about inspired action from a different point of view as well, because we all know that creation is done, like Neville Goddard said, it's done, okay? You just experience it, and you get to pick the timeline, you get to pick the multiverse where it always happened that way. So let's go back to that job thing. There was this universe where you never found that job that you wanted, because you could not manifest it, because you were so much in the lack mentality, like, I don't have my dream job, and then you couldn't possibly manifest getting into the timeline where you got that job. And then there is the timeline where you get the inspired action but you didn't do it, and then you didn't get that specific job. And maybe there will always be new opportunities, then maybe you get the inspired action at a later point and then you will take it. Or the job could come in another way. There's multiple scenarios where it could find out. Let's say you never take action, and then someday the universe is like, well, okay, then we'll take action for you. And then, I don't know, maybe you get a call out of the blue because somebody suggested you. There could be several things how it plays out. There's more than one version how it does play out. There's multiple versions, and if you don't take the inspired action, then maybe you missed the first opportunity, but there will be others to come, and they could come through inspired action again, that you get the impulse, or eventually you could manifest it by not doing anything, but again, that might take longer. So always listen to your gut feeling. But again, so there's this universe where you didn't manifest it, and there's the one you didn't take that inspired action, and then there's other ones, and then there's the one where you took the inspired action and you got the job. And in that universe, in that quantum bubble, or quantum bubble is the wrong word because you have your own quantum bubble, but in that timeline, it has always been that way, because again, everything has already happened, we just haven't experienced it yet. So in this version, this quantum bubble or timeline, there is this version of you, because there's multiple versions of you. There is this version of you that took the inspired action and then got the job. Okay, it has always been that way in that specific universe. Because when we talk about multiverses, again, there's different versions of you. Every time you made a decision, you could learn about, what's his name, Schrödinger's cat. There is this decision you make, and then there's one version of you going way A, and the other one is going way B. However, you don't experience both timelines at the same time. one version of you is choosing A, one is of you choosing B, and that can be, when you're manifesting, a conscious decision. If not, then it is depending on your energy. If you're in lack mentality and this is the way where you don't get it, then you would choose that way. And if you are in a high vibration, law of attraction, then you would choose the way where you get your desired outcome. So again, you can't do it consciously, or you do it subconsciously. Like your dominant energy is going always to the side for you. And that's when we consciously manifest, we override our dominant energy. We want to be the dominant energy matching to that what we want to be. And again, so one version of you took this way, one of you took that way. So there's already two versions of you in this multiverse. However, this happened again and again and again and again. And there's multiverses where you're not even born because your parents never met. Then there is this multiverse where you've already died, because remember that one time as a child you were really sick and then you survived. Well, there's a timeline where you didn't, because every possibility is being played out by this universe. So there is this timeline, this universe where you always got the job. Always. It has always been that way. And there's a timeline where you never got the job, because you were in lack mentality. And what we do is, again, there's multiple versions of you that already exist simultaneously at the same time. And when you get the impulse to take the inspired action, what really happens is you automatically go into the timeline where you always have done that and then manifested the job. So every decision you make, it's not really changing anything on the outside, but it's putting you on the timeline where it has always been that way. You will get into that body, and that is why I believe that we can change our bodies as well. If you, I have, maybe you can see gray blue eyes. Let's say, and I don't want to, but let's say I decided I want to have green eyes. And that want could only come to me if there is at least one timeline, multiple, where I do have green eyes. Okay, so if I tried to manifest having green eyes, again, the desire can only come because it exists, then my eye color would not change. I would change into the timeline where I do have green eyes. Okay, so everything you do desire only comes to you because it exists. There is a version of you that has what you want. Maybe your person, maybe the big bank account, maybe your dream car, your dream house. Everything you really can imagine to have, you do have in multiple timelines. And I say multiple timelines because, again, everything, it plays out. You can have your dream car, but you get into a bad energy and you crash it, or then you don't. There's multiple versions of that playing out as well. And so again, inspired action is something that specific person, like you tell the universe, I want to be the person that gets the job. And then you get the impulse, and if you act on it, you go into the timeline where you act on it. If you don't act on it, you make the experience of that version of you that never acted on it, because again, that exists simultaneously. And your conscious decisions and your actions, your inspired action, basically is like, I want to go step back again. Sorry if I'm rambling. Let's say you want to manifest. Today is January the 18th when I'm recording this, 2022. I want to manifest a new job, let's say. And there is a timeline where this job is available at February 1st, 2022. And there is this version of me who gets that job on, or starts at February 1st, 2022. Okay, it always already happened. It already existed. And now it's me trying to get that job, that timeline. Maybe I know this job is available, or I don't know, and it's just like the image I have of my dream job. I wrote down my intention, so I have my intention. I want a job that is da 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 da. Or maybe it's that specific job that I know that there is an opening, and then the inspired action would be that in that multiverse, in that timeline, I would get the action to apply. It's January 18th, on January 18th, and that already happened. In that timeline, I applied to that job. I wrote my email or whatever it is, or called there at January 18th. And that sets the chain in motion. How do you call it? A bridge of incidents, or like the chain in motion? I don't know. Anyway, it sets in motion to get that job on January 1st. Okay, February 1st. However, but if I'm lazy today and I don't do it, I get the impulse. My soul is telling me, apply today, because in that timeline where I got that job, I did already did apply that day, but then I missed it. Okay, so there may be another timeline where I applied tomorrow and still got the job, or not. Maybe I missed that wave. Maybe I missed the opportunity to get that specific job for right now, which doesn't mean that you cannot still attract that specific job. It's just you missed the opportunity on starting on February 1st. Okay, maybe you can still attract that job because maybe they hired someone and noticed that that person is not a right fit, or then they quit, or I don't know, something happens, and then that job is getting vacant again. If you can imagine it, then because it happens. Okay, so if you get the impulse today to apply and then you don't, but you still get the gut feeling like I can do it in 3 days, then only because there is the possibility that when you apply in 3 days, you still get the job. Otherwise, you wouldn't have that inner feeling of knowing I can do that and I will get it. Okay, because again, you can only feel or want what is possible. So if you have the feeling like I applied too late, then again you didn't make the timeline where that happened, that you applied that day and you got the job for that day, but you can still manifest it for a later date. It's always possible. Even if you don't get the job, even if you want to date that person and then they started dating someone else, doesn't mean that you never have a chance, because they can break up. You just persist. So again, inspired action is something that did happen already in this multiverse, and then you got the gut feeling in order to get to the timeline where it did happen on that specific date, and then it does play out the way it always played out in that multiverse. But if you don't take the inspired action, then of course that what always happened in that timeline will always still happen in that timeline, but you won't be in that body, in that version of you that will experience that. You will make a different experience according to your choices. But again, you can always change your mind and then get the experience that does mirror what your choices are. I hope it made it clear. If not, then please write it in the comments and I will try to explain it again. But again, inspired action is something that already has happened in that specific timeline. It always has happened in that specific way. It always has happened with that specific bridge of incidences that led you from A to B. And if you forgot to jump on the train that day, that from A to B, if you missed the train, you can get another train. Okay, but then you will get there later. Or maybe okay, I forgot to get on the train on station A, but I will make it on time on station B, and then I will still get there on time. Your inner knowing will tell you if there is another opportunity for that specific date or not. It's your inner knowing. And if you say, no, I want it on February 1st, I want it, I do want it, I know I can have it, then there is the possibility. Okay. However, if you don't take any action, that want could tell you like, yeah, you had the possibility, but there is no timeline where it happens in a different way. You know, there could be timelines where it is available for you to happen in a different way, or there is not a timeline open, available for you where it happens on that specific day. However you can manifest it, there's always going to be a new wave. Okay, then you just manifest a different date. Okay, I hope again I made it clear, and I am available for personal coaching, and I wish you all the best. Now please check out my other content. Please like, subscribe, and